Welcome to today's 4Ps podcast. It is the Olympic season every single 4 years. Actually, almost, I think it's every 2 years now. We have either the summer or the winter Olympics. And today, just by happenstance, we have an individual from Australia who is a boxer. And he is going to be sharing his story. This man, his name is Philip James McDonald. He has golden gloves for sure, but he also has a golden heart. We'll be back right after this. We're going to stay overseas this week, and we'll be right back. Hey, 4Ps audience. First of all, I want to thank you for listening to the podcast, The 4Ps of You. I thoroughly enjoy doing it, and I thoroughly enjoy the feedback I get from listeners. I hope you enjoy the stories and the guests that come on this program all the time. And if you do enjoy the guests and the stories that come on this program, you will absolutely enjoy my book, The 4Ps of You. The 4Ps of You are a collection of stories dealing with purpose, planning, passion, and persistence. These stories are there to guide you through your journey to see exactly what you want in life. The 4Ps of You is available on all forums. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it Barnes & Noble. You can get it on Google Play. You can get it on Apple. You can get it anywhere you buy books. You can get it in paperback or you can get it in e-form. Please, that's the 4Ps of You. Get it. Would love to have you read it and continue to thank you for listening to the 4Ps podcast with Trunus Goggins.
Do you have the next big thing? That world-changing whatchamacallit? Do you have a story to tell? You need a show-stopping web presence. You need the web spinners at Webinit. With big picture solutions, spinning together SEO, stellar web design, blogging, podcasts, and social media integrations, you'll find yourself developing your latest and greatest thing, idea, or telling that next chapter in your story. Look us up today at Webinit.com, and remember, you're not everywhere unless you're Webinit.
Hello and welcome back. I just got finished talking about the Olympics. I got finished talking about golden gloves and golden heart. Let's talk a little bit about gold. In order to have gold, and everybody loves it, it's one of the finest metals, one of the most precious metals that we have on the planet. You need gold for so many different reasons. And in this case, I want to talk a little bit about gold in the way where talk about the refining process of gold. In order to get gold, you need to run gold. When you find gold and you mine it out of the ground, gold is impure. It is not pure at all. And in order to get it to become what we desire and what we need, we put it through a refining process, and it gets through and goes through tremendous heat to remove the impurities and to make it the way we need it. Sometimes in life, all the time in life, that's what we go through. There are a lot of us going right now, a lot of us going through some type of trial, tribulation, and it is burning you. You are being refined right now as we speak, and sometimes those fires are a lot warmer than others, but it does take you through a process where it refines you so you can become a finer version in a more, I don't want to say pure because none of us are ever pure, but a better version, a more desired version, I should say, than you were before. And going through that process is painful. I'm clearly metal does not have feeling. At least I hope it doesn't, because that is so painful, I'm sure. But, when we go through things, it makes us a better person. And the reason why I brought that up today is the person that I'm talking to in our interview today. His name is Philip James McDonald. He is a phenomenal individual. He's a world record holder. He is for boxing, 3 world records to be exact. He also helps youth. He's a builder. He is a great father, husband. He's all these things. But when you hear his life story, you're going to realize the refining process that he had to go through. And some of that fire was hot. I am talking blazing hot. Some of the fires that he went through, a lot of us, many of us would not want to go through. But he has taken all of those issues and all of those tribulations, and he has turned it into a positive light. And he has become an inspiration to me. I'm going to tell you, I do have a brother. Most of you know my brother, David Goggins, but I'm going to tell you, after meeting Philip just a couple of months ago, short months ago, after meeting Philip, the connection that we had was just instantaneous, and I consider him a dear friend and brother of mine. He says that I'm part of his crew, and he's definitely part of mine for sure. And it is just unreal. I need to get down to Australia as soon as possible so I can hang out with him, and he needs to come up here and hang out here. I know that he's going to teach me boxing, and I'm going to teach him hockey. Now, if you guys know about my hockey, you'll know that I'm not going to teach him as much about hockey as he's going to teach me about boxing, but at least he'll know how to skate. We'll be right back with Philip's interview and Philip's dynamic story right after this.
Do you feel yourself battling self-doubt or feeling the weight of uncertainty? You're not alone. Many have those moments when the voice of doubt speaks louder than aspirations. Introducing Triumphant, true stories of inspiration for those navigating the challenges of life. These stories aren't just narratives, they're beacons of hope guiding you through triumphs of your own. These stories of inspiration, empowerment, and success will be available in April of 2024.
All right. Welcome back. You know, this introduction, first of all, this podcast episode is very, very special to me. I met this individual literally through a mutual friend. I did a podcast, maybe it was back in February, I believe it was. It was a while ago. And I did this podcast. And then after that, I was invited to a couple meetings in Australia, virtually, obviously, and went to one of these meetings, and instantly I meet this guy. He was in the group, and we were all doing it virtual, and Philip was his name. Had no idea who he was, but instantly I connected with this guy. He's a wonderful person. And then I found out that he is a boxer, and I tried to recruit him to come to North Carolina to be on our roller hockey team, because I'm a little bit of a pest and I need protection while I'm out on the rink. So thank you. Philip McDonald. I want to welcome him to the show. This guy has a resume. This guy has a story that, you know, and I'm going to ask him while I'm on here. We may have to have a two-part series with Philip. Philip, welcome to the show. How are you doing, Philip?
G'day, Trinus. Thanks for having me, my brother. Happy to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, you are in Australia. Can you tell our audience here in the United States and the rest of the world, for that matter, what part of Australia do you live in?
Okay, I live in a place called Mollymook Beach, my wife and myself, and it's about 3 hours south of the Sydney CBD.
Wow, that's very nice. And so I am interviewing you on the 18th of July, 2024, and it is hot as the dickens up here in North Carolina. What's the weather like down there?
Well, gee, I wish I could say the same. It's about 4 degrees here at the moment, and we're living in a little 2-bedroom cottage that we're about to demolish. In the summer, it's fantastic. It's well air conditioned. There's cracks in the floorboards, and in the winter, not so. So hence why I'm sitting in my dining room like I'm going skiing.
Wow, that is unbelievable. So you are freezing in the cracks, and you like it in the summertime. So you said you're going to demolish it. What's going to happen? You're going to build something new?
Yeah,
what's going on?
I'm a builder. You know, I'm semi-retired as a builder. I'm 62 years of age, and we've just drawn plans up. We're just waiting the architect to come back to us now with a fee proposal, so we can give them the green light and get the planning stages underway. So, Annika will be very happy when she's got a new home and that she doesn't have to live the way she does at the moment. So we go to bed in the winter. We go to bed, tracksuit, beanies, ski socks, and about 3 doonas on the bed. So to give you an idea, but it keeps it keeps us hard.
There you go. You got to stay hard. Got to stay hard, as my brother says all the time.
Yeah.
So you are also, like my brother, you are a record holder, a world record holder.
3 times.
3 times.
3 times.
Tell us the world records that you hold.
I hold the world record for punching the heavy bag non-stop, no breaks whatsoever for 24 hours. The second one was I sparred, and I was the oldest person in the world to do this. I sparred 150 3-minute rounds with the regulation 1-minute break in between. Mm-hmm. And then my third world record which was April earlier this year. I had a partner hold the focus pads. If anyone's familiar with boxing, they hold the pads on each hand, and that's to simulate boxing in the ring. We moved around the ring for 7.5 hours non-stop at pace. And the only reason I stopped, I'd set out to do 25 hours, actually, Trinus, but I finished at 7.5 hours, and it was still a world record, only because I was unconscious on the floor. So I had what's called a vagus episode. For an hour leading up to that, my vision started to become tunnel-like. I felt nauseous. My legs went, and I got down on my knees before I collapsed. And so I've got a heart condition that I'm controlling at the moment with a great cardiologist that I've got. I've got a hernia on my heart, and I've got atrial fibrillation as well. So I've got to manage that. So we did the third world record with all that. We had to bear all that in mind. And so I was anxious going into that third world record, but we'd trained in what's called a zone 2 state leading up to that, where you can still speak while you're training. But something in me just clicked when we hit the timer on the day. And I thought, if I'm going to do this, I want to be real about it. And I'm just going to go until I can't go any longer. So we trained at a 70%, or that day we executed the activity at a 70% pace. And when I look back on that, I thought to myself, gee, that was a hell of an effort.
Wow.
So it's so I go back and see the cardiologist again on the 2nd of August. Hopefully he gives me the green light to continue with my training and be able to take my training out of zone 2 and increase my heart rate through my training. And we may well look at setting another record down the track. And I only set a record if I can attach it to some sort of purpose. And my last record was to raise money to help my mate's institution called the Schaefer Foundation, which feeds Sydney's homeless. So he was once homeless himself, and he rose to become a world champion. So he's my trainer and my best mate, and I wanted to support him because I believe in what he's doing, and that was a strong purpose. My previous world records were both for charity. The first one was called the Les Galvin Memorial in support of my best mate who took his life. So that was for mental health, to raise awareness. And my second was I lost Dad after the first world record a week after. So I became an advocate and supporter of the Stroke Foundation. And, I promote health and fitness, but primarily health before fitness. I was lucky enough to be invited to our state parliament and campaign for ongoing funding to raise awareness of stroke and, how we can mitigate stroke, especially in country areas, because I'm in a country area. A lot of people don't realise, Trinus, that people in regional areas, country areas, the percentage of them having the stroke, the likelihood of them having a stroke is far greater than their city counterparts, and the mortality rate is much higher because of lack of facilities and lack of awareness around educating people how to mitigate, the potential for stroke. So, after watching Dad deteriorate over 8 weeks, it's become a cause very close to my heart. Our son is about 12 months away from becoming a doctor.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, congratulations to him. So it's all on him.
Mm-hmm.
So, we speak quite a lot, and he does a lot of research in the meantime between his studies, so that, some of the students can make a little bit extra money on the side, because he's 30 years of age and putting himself through this full time. He's got 2 daughters and a wife to support at the same time, so hat off to him. And, like you and David, Cameron was in the forces. He was in the army, much like my dad. So, he's got that discipline behind him to push through. And, just to study is a hard thing on its own, but to study medicine, and I asked him the other day, I said, what's been your toughest subject so far, mate? And he said, Dad, nuclear medicine by far would have to be the toughest subject. So to do what he's doing, I draw inspiration from my kids, man. All 3 of my kids. When you said congratulations, look, I'll take that as in as far as I'm immensely proud of him, as I am our other 2 children. But man, this is all on him,
It is. I want to go back to, and I know we've had a couple of conversations, offline, not in a meeting setting or anything like that. You talk highly of your father. As a matter of fact, even when even your social media presence, you have a lot of your father's on there. When you won a match, you have there's a picture, and it's a powerful picture. Your dad's laying in the bed. He's got your belt, and he's putting up putting up a fist. And this was just shortly before he died.
100%.
But I could tell in the pictures, and the one thing, I saw a picture of him before the stroke, and then I see a picture of him after the stroke, and clearly your father was a very strong man, and he's a very strong influence on you. Tell us about that influence. You can go back as far as you want, but tell us about that a little bit.
Okay. When I was in the shower this morning, I was thinking about, some of the things that you might bring up, and I'm so glad that you brought up, about mentioning Dad, so I can give him a shout out. So my earliest memory was, and this is going to put things in perspective, because Dad would cross the road to make up numbers with the underdogs. And I'll give you a great example of that. And this is the type of bloke he was. He was a fight promoter, as well as being, a pretty good, pug, as we affectionately call boxers down here. So we were living in a place called Moree. Now, Moree is northwest from Sydney. It has a high percentage population, of Indigenous people there. And Dad was building the local high school. And there was no work in Sydney at the time. It was about 1965, 66. I was about 4 years of age. And I can remember this. How bizarre is this? I can remember this. Anyway, so we went up there to work, and we were there for a couple of years, and we lived in a caravan. And my sister had just been born, because she's just 4 years younger than me. So we're up there living in a caravan, and in summer, it's people, if they know the area, any people from Australia watching, or people from in the States have visited there, I know it's probably, one of the hottest places on earth during summer, and conversely pretty cold in winter. So we're living in this caravan park just south of the local pub hotel. And so Dad had employed all these Aboriginal fellas to work on the high school as labourers, and as per the protocol in those days, people would get paid on Friday night. Usually, Dad would pay in cash in a little white envelope in the back of the pub. And a lot of the white fellas would complain to my dad once they'd had a few beers into them that, what's up with us? Aren't we good enough? You got to pick all the local fellas. And he said, well, at least these blokes will have a dig, and then it'd be on. And I would remember Dad would come home with bark off him and bloodied most Friday evenings. And then we spoke about it later on when I got old enough to understand. And he explained to me, he said, Philip, he said, you never lay down. And I said, what do you mean by that, Dad? And he said, if you have a conviction, you stand up for that. He said, these blokes they worked hard. And he said, just because of the colour of their skin, and he said, these white fellas, he said, it would be very easy. I could have just sided with them and caved in and given them the work. He said, but no. And I said, how did you go? Did you win any of those fights? He said, no. He said, but we had a lot of fun, and so he copped a hiding every Friday night because he wasn't going to give in. In the end, they accepted them. They accepted them because they stood their ground. Now, I don't think I could do that, Trinus. Cop a hiding every Friday night and come home bloodied with bark off me every Friday night, knowing that when you're going to have a drink, have a beer with the boys, like you do after work on a Friday afternoon, and give them their pay, knowing that the end result was that you're going to get belted.
Yeah, that's but you kind of do that now. Your life and some of the stuff that you talk about with your life, you did take a beating. It may not have been a physical beating, but there were times when you had, things happen. You did turn to boxing. Now, it is something new. I didn't know your father was a boxing promoter, and it's funny our connection because your dad was a businessman and a promoter, and my dad here in the United States was a businessman and a promoter. It is uncanny, and I was. And my dad, just like your father, is a huge influence on you. My father was a tremendous influence on me as well. And both of us, it's funny that and now this is a new step. And not only is my audience is finding this out, I'm finding this out. Both of us found our fathers to be almost invincible. And then we were around when we found, that they are indeed vulnerable. But even though that's still the strongest man and it's my father was the strongest man I know, and that is weird. And I think that's probably where our instant connection came in because we, our backgrounds in some ways are very similar. You did talk. I mean, one thing is that you are a family man. You started out this interview with a coffee mug and says, "My grandkids are with me." You have a picture. We get close, and then I get to meet. There they are. Yes, I get to meet. Yeah,
Lily and Olivia.
Lily and Olivia. Beautiful, beautiful. And then I get to meet through social media again. I get to meet your daughter. Wonderful, wonderful individual, by the way. Very, very intelligent. You gotta. There's a whole bunch of business minds in the McDonald family. That is for sure.
I didn't get it from me, Trinus.
Maybe you got it from your dad. Sounds like your dad was a great businessman.
It skipped a generation. It went from their grandfather to the kids.
There you go. But so tell me a little bit. You shared a story with me a while ago about how boxing was a formula, was a fuel for you. And it was an outlet. It still is an outlet. And we related because my sport, obviously hockey, is my outlet, and it helps me, with trauma basically that's gone on in my life. And boxing has not only helped you, but I see you're helping others with boxing. You're helping youth. You're helping young adults. Why did you turn to boxing?
Oh, I don't think it was my decision. I think it was my dad's decision because I had all this anger inside me. I was an angry young child, that didn't have an outlet. And I think my dad could see, and he didn't know why. And I never told him. And I think he could see this destructive force within me. And, I would fight everyone and everything. And everyone that's grown up with me will tell you that I'm scared of absolutely nothing. I'm dubbed Fearless Phil. And there was a dark force inside of me, and that was a result of being assaulted when I was 9 years of age. And look, you might notice that I don't speak about my mother, and that's for a reason. My mother decided to have an affair with my father's best mate, who was his business partner, and someone that my father grew up with. So they had a long history together. Anyway, my mother's lover had an 18-year-old son. I was 9, and he sexually abused me. And when something like that happens to an individual, if people can just close their eyes and imagine you're floating in an ocean, you've got no compass, you've got no reference point on which way to go, and you're just floating. Well, the best thing you can do is just to keep floating. And every now and again, you're going to take in gulps of water, your adrenaline's going to go up, you're going to feel like you can't breathe. This is how I felt for a long time. Now, Dad, as I mentioned, he was in the army. He was in national service. But Dad was a keen pig hunter. Would go out, west with his mates, hunting pigs and kangaroos. And so there was always a 303 rifle in the wardrobe. Even though he had like the magazine up on the top shelf, it wouldn't take him long to load that and be able to fire it. I knew at that age of 9 that if I told him, he would have shot everyone.
Yeah.
That's how much of an angry man he could become. Not angry. His dad was very passionate, and I'm very passionate too. And so he would have belted them all. When my mother, so I'll fast forward a little bit in this part of the story. When my father finally found out what was happening between my mother and his best mate, they'd ran off and taken money out of the company and all that. Dad confronted him, and I'm not even going to mention this bloke's name, not for fear of what people might come back at me with, but he doesn't deserve it to have his name mentioned. And he lost his eye in the fight. Dad belted him that badly. He lost his eye, and so if that was what Dad could do, putting his hands on someone, what would he have done if I'd have told him what this bloke's son had done to me?
Yeah, it would have been awful. It really would have.
I would have lost the only supporter that I had. As it was growing up, my mother has got 3 other sisters. 2 of them, made approaches to take me and raise me independently of my mother raising me. That's, the lack of confidence that her own sisters had in her raising me. So I lived with that horror for a long time. So it's like, the only way I can describe it is like living with part of you dying all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had this anger in me. And so, that was back in the day, like I'm 62 on the 24th of August in a few weeks. So that was quite a while ago. So there wasn't the assistance available to people that were victims of crime like that as there is now. So I had to just live with it. And I remember talking to Doug Bites, that we both know, when I did a podcast with Doug, and I told him a bit of my background, and he entitled the podcast on my behalf Stronger Than This. So if I ever get to write a book, if it's up to me to choose the title, I'll call it Stronger Than This, because I sat in my room and I don't know what crawled inside me, but I said to myself as a 9-year-old, and I remember it vividly, I'm stronger than this.
Mm-hmm.
And I set my sights then on, I wanted to be a professional rugby league player. I ended up playing rugby union for Parramatta, which is the amateur code, and I never ended up, switching over to league or even trialling with the Parramatta club because just lack of confidence. And, that was a byproduct of my assault. It erodes, so much of you. And so, I was not dragged to the PCYC, which is Police Citizen Youth Club. I think over in the States you have something called like a boys club, or where kids go. So this offered, a choice of boxing, wrestling, judo, weightlifting, gymnastics, and it's run by the local, police. So and they have one usually in every major town. So I went along there and I learned how to box, but I grew pretty big, pretty quick, and put on a little bit of weight. But in terms of boxing weights, I was, tall and big from age and fighting much older, guys, and copping a beating. And so I thought, I'll stuff this, I'll pursue the football angle. And so I did. But I would always go back to boxing, Trinus. I don't know what the drawing was. I think it was probably looking back now and talking to you this morning, it's triggered something in me that says confidence. And a lot of boxers are extremely confident. You've got to be, it's a mind game. It's all about self-belief. Because when you get in, excuse me, when you get inside those ropes, it's either deliver or get delivered upon, in a big way. You're going to get hurt. It's a hurt game. It's a hurt game, more so than football, so.
All right, Philip, I'm going to tell you right now, I have to say this, and I know I'm going to cut you off, but I am getting a T-shirt made that says either you deliver or get delivered upon. I am getting that. Where is that? Is that what they say? I have to get a T-shirt with that from now on. That is a beautiful saying. That is, and I'm sorry, that I love that. Go ahead.
So, yeah. Can you send me one?
I will. I'll get one made. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and my father would take me up the garage after dinner of the night, up the back shed, and we'd go through different drills. We hung a heavy bag up, we hung a speed ball up, and he would slap me with his open hand, if I was open for a shot. And he's got 3 times my size. I'm, at that stage, 10 or 11 years of age. And, slapping me around the head, just to make me tougher. And, I wanted to prove to him so much that I respected him, I'd fight back, and I'd hit him as hard as I could, but only a chest fight because I couldn't reach up there,
Right.
So, and that built, a sense of toughness in me. It built, I think, a level of respect from my dad, because he could see that I was having a crack, even though he was forcing me to fight. But, Dad was from an era that it was his way of raising me was through tough love. because that's how he was raised,
Yeah.
you know. And so, you know, if my sister got, you know, not special attention, but treated differently. And I put up a post the other day, and I think you saw it, you know, and I said there is no love like the love that a father has for his daughter. And so you treat your sons a bit differently. You bring them up a little bit tougher because you want them to be no one's fool. But where Laura's concerned, my daughter, our daughter, you know, I did too good a job of Laura. She's definitely nobody's fool, you know, as you well know. So she, you know,
Absolutely.
I'm extremely proud of her.
You know, this is going to be, I want to leave the audience wanting more, and I want to go ahead and turn this into a two-parter. I do want to leave this with one more question, and I do want to, and like I said, this is going to be the follow-up. This is going to be this is going to be the first time ever I had a podcast that was two parts.
We might have to go to three, Trinus.
We might.
Have to go to three.
But what I want to say, and I'm going to say this on the other hand, this guy is a golden glove and he's got a golden heart. And I do want you to tell the audience about what you do for youth in your community.
Yeah, well, I teach young fellas how to box, and you know it's not unheard of to, you know, that, you know, a boxing trainer is usually a psychologist as well as a father, as well as a social worker. You know, you fall in all those sort of categories, you know, father figure, all those sort of things. You know, young blokes and girls, you know, they might have parents at home but feel like they can't talk to them or approach them, or their parents might be absent, you know. So I take, you know, I relish in seeing a change in individuals where, you know, their spirit is built through, you know, becomes stronger over time just through their self-belief. And boxing does that because, you know, it develops this mind-body connection within an individual. And after a while, all these layers that you teach through different drills and whatnot, at first, you know, people, you know, that they feel like they're trying to run on the spot, touch their stomach with one hand and touch their head with the other. It's a bit all, you know, discombobulated. It feels like they're all uncoordinated. And as time goes by, all these layers galvanise together, and it's like one day they walk in and both the feet and the hands work in synchronisation with each other, and you see the like a light go on within them, and this joy, this confidence come out within them, and this permeates into every area of someone's life. And when they see me as, you know, at 62, and yeah, I've got the runs on the board, I show that level of belief in them that I was showed by people that I used to believe, you know, that I believed in. And when kids see that, they lift because they believe in me, so they trust in me, right? And that's wonderful because they know they know me, but they don't know who I am. So it's almost like a blind faith, and so that's a real honour for someone to bestow, you know, this blind faith. So I teach them, and so I think people's lives tend to change when that they connect with someone that they believe in, shows that same level of self-belief in them. And I show that to the kids, and I commend them on, you know, when these layers are coming together, and I show them the comparison from when they started. And you know what? You see this light, you know, shine from within them. You see them start to walk a bit taller. Their shoulders come back, you know, their chest puffs out. You know, you start to see them walk a little bit differently. And for me, man, you couldn't pay me enough money to, you know, give me the same feeling.
Very beautiful. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that the audience knows that I'm not going to give you guys any more. Not this time. Next week, when with the area, this is actually going to be a two-part, we know, maybe three-part. We learned about what fueled Philip, to get into where he is today. We also learned a little bit about his father today, and we learned about his family dynamic growing up. Our next episode, we are going to know about his family today and what led him, well, we know a little bit of the answer, to be the father and the husband that he is today, and the friend. I will say this right now, and I can't say it with a Western New York accent. It just doesn't sound good coming from me. I mean, I say mate, and it doesn't sound good. New Yorkers cannot say mate, all right? But this is, and I will say this, instantly, Philip became, I'm going to say this, it's a word that everybody uses globally. He is absolutely, he's more than a mate. He's my brother, and he's a great individual. I do find him to be a mentor of mine. We were talking a couple weeks ago. I said, he's older than me, but then he has the nerve to sit there and say, but I look younger. And he's going to sit there and throw that at me. And he does. He's in better shape. That's for damn sure. But hey, we will be back right after this, but Phil will be back next week. We'll be right back.
Do you have the next big thing? That world-changing whatchamacallit? Do you have a story to tell? You need a show-stopping web presence. You need the web spinners at Webinit. With big picture solutions, spinning together SEO, stellar web design, blogging, podcasts, and social media integrations, you'll find yourself developing your latest and greatest thing, idea, or telling that next chapter in your story. Look us up today at Webinit.com, and remember, you're not everywhere unless you're Webinit.
Hey, 4Ps audience. First of all, I want to thank you for listening to the podcast, The 4Ps of You. I thoroughly enjoy doing it, and I thoroughly enjoy the feedback I get from listeners. I hope you enjoy the stories and the guests that come on this program all the time. And if you do enjoy the guests and the stories that come on this program, you will absolutely enjoy my book, The 4Ps of You. The 4Ps of You are a collection of stories dealing with purpose, planning, passion, and persistence. These stories are there to guide you through your journey to see exactly what you want in life. The 4Ps of You is available on all forums. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it Barnes & Noble. You can get it on Google Play. You can get it on Apple. You can get it anywhere you buy books. You can get it in paperback, or you can get it in e-form. Please, that's the 4Ps of You. Get it. Would love to have you read it, and continue to thank you for listening to the 4Ps podcast with Trunus Goggins. Oh, that story, as tragic in some parts as it is, I gain tons of inspiration. A lot of us go through things in life and we say that's going to define us. That's all we are. And, because I was hurt, because I went through this tragedy, because of whatever, this is just the way I am and I can't be any better. And we resign ourselves to the fact that that's what we are. We are what happened to us. And we victimize ourselves in some way, shape, or form. I love how Philip does not do that in any way, shape, or form. He takes all of his pain, all of his suffering, and he tries to turn it into something good. His father has a stroke, passes away. He goes and he beats a record. And when he beats a world record, he goes and he does that to raise money for stroke victims, because he doesn't want other people to go through what he went through, or at least he wants to, mitigate some of the pain and suffering that stroke victims go through. He has always found good. This is part one of this segment, and of this series, I should say. Part two will be coming out in 2 weeks. His story, I don't want to say it gets better. I mean, it is. I mean, he's made it better, but his story is interesting. It doesn't stop. Let's just put it that way. The story does not stop. Like I said, he's become a dear friend of mine. He is going to have a book, and I'm going to help him with that book. I'm just, like I said, I pull up, and I'm speechless because I pull up tons of inspiration from this individual. So make sure you tune in for part two of this series. I know today I have a lot of readers from Australia, and I really do appreciate that. If you would like to get my book, which I hope you do, it's called The 4 Ps of You. It's the title of the book is the same as the podcast title, because I only have like one title. I'm only going to stick with that one title. I can't go any further than that. It's pretty sad. But you can get The 4 Ps of You in Australia. You can get it on Amazon Australia. You can also get it at Abby's Bookshop. You can get that online. I am actually talking to them right now. I am trying to get that not only online, but I'm trying to get them to have the paperback in store so you don't have to wait for it to be mailed to you. We also have it at Bookopedia, and we have it at the Nile, which is another place in Australia where you can get it. So make sure, like I said, it's at Abby's Bookshop. It's at Amazon. It's at Amazon.Australia. It's also at the Nile and at Booktopia. Booktopia. Please, if you can, get the book. It is called The 4 Ps of You, and get that book. And don't forget, like I said, Philip has a book coming out real soon. You will be able to get his book the same way. We will be talking to you again very soon. You guys have a great day. For you guys down under, I mean, it is summer up where we are, and you guys enjoy the cold. I do know that I have been watching during our interview process, watching Philip sitting in stocking caps and heavy jackets as I'm sitting here sweating it out here in North Carolina. It is a weird contrast. So make sure you guys enjoy your winter. And we will enjoy our summer up there. Talking to you guys real soon. And for you guys in the rest of the in the Northern Hemisphere, United States and Canada specifically, stay cool. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.